Today we're going to talk about making perfect finger joints with your laser. What's up guys, I'm Nick and this is Build Dad Build. And today it's all about that box. Today we're going to be making finger joints with our laser. Why are we doing it with a laser? Well, for a couple of reasons. One, to cut these in a wood shop, you need to create yourself a jig. A lot of times you need a special blade, either a dado stack or a flat top single blade. You're gonna need some tools you may not have, like a table saw or a router. And I've seen a lot of people have confusion on how to cut. So basically when you cut one side, then you have to cut the mating side. And I think you flip the piece over on your table saw. I don't know. But it's a pain in the ass. Using a laser, you're going to get even cuts all the way across. There's little room for human error if you set everything upright. And the biggest thing you need to understand about finger joints when you're working on a laser is kerf. We'll get to that in just a second. Now, I will give you a couple of cons for doing finger joints on a laser. One of them is you are kind of limited on how thick a material you can cut. This is 1/2 inch. This was done on 100 watt CO2. Once you get over about 3/4 of an inch, you start getting a little bit of an angle to your cut because your laser's going back out of focus. You can't help this with different focal lengths sometimes, but in my experience, material under 3/4 of an inch is about what you can get away with on a laser. The size you can cut may be limited by the framework of your laser. If you're using a diode, using a CO2, it may be limited to your bed size. I won't be working on anything really big today, but I will be using the AP Lazer downstairs. And the AP Lazer does have the open architecture where you can just drop the bed out of the way and run whatever material, whatever size through there. So when you get up into the more professional, commercial grade lasers, you run into less of that problem. We will be cutting our finger joints on a CO2 laser today, but you can use a diode laser. Your settings are obviously just going to be different. However, with the CO2, you can cut thicker material faster. You'll see an example of this at the end of the video. But before we can get into building our boxes, we need to talk about kerf. Now, you may have heard of kerf before, or maybe not. Kerf in woodworking is usually the width of the blade. So if you drew a line on a piece of wood and you cut directly on that line, the width of your table saw blade or your miter saw blade or whatever is going to cut a little material on either side of that line. So usually in woodworking, if you want to get an exact measurement, you're going to cut to the far side of that line because the material you remove is going to mess up your measurement. Now, you have the same thing with a laser. It's the beam size. It's much smaller than it would be with a blade, but it still exists. So first we need to figure out what that measurement is so we can add that measurement to the size of the joints of our box so it'll fit together correctly. All right, cupcakes, let's figure out what our kerf is. So I like to use this generator. It's just a little bit more straightforward for kerf, I feel. I'll link this down below, but o2creative.co.nz is the generator that I use for a lot of different power grids because it gives you kind of an example what it's going to look like. And then if you come down here, you can adjust it. And we have a kerf generator right here. Go ahead and click on that. And this is going to show us how to find the kerf for your laser. Okay, so we're going to be working on this top row here. This is two different ways to figure out your kerf. One, you can get pieces to fit together. Two, you can get these little circles to see if they fit in the holes. Or we're going to start out with negative 0.5 millimeters and we're going to go to positive 0.5 millimeters. And we're going to step it up by 0.1 millimeters at a time. We're going to set our cut setting. The cut setting is going to cut these out. The label is going to engrave the numbers on here so you don't get these mixed up. Now, I'm using a 100 watt CO2 laser. My material is 1/4 inch MDF. So these settings are going to be for my machine. You may have to adjust these for yours, but my cut power is going to be 85%. And we're going to go 20 millimeters per second. For our label power, we're going to go 30% and we're going to go 130 millimeters per second. Okay, so I'm going to generate Lightburn file. That is going to give me this file right here. As you can see, I've done this a couple of times. So now we're going to just take this file, drop it into Lightburn, and load it into the laser. And this is what the test is going to look like in Lightburn. Now, I'm going to take these down to the Easy Bake Oven, and we are going to get to a laser in. Okay, so here's our first kerf test over here. We went negative
0.5 to positive 0.5. Let's come over here. Don't pay attention to these yet, and I'll show you what we found out. This is negative 0.5. For what we're doing, we're not going to deal in the negatives, but this gives you a good idea of if you have too little kerf, that it gets loose. This would be a better test for when you're trying to work with kerf offset, but we're not going to get into that today. And then we got our 0.5, which is obviously way too tight. Look at that. It can't even get in the crevasse. It can't get in the crack, baby.
That's your home. Are you too good for your home?
It just doesn't fit. This would mean that the beam of our laser is 0.5 millimeters wide, which is huge. So in doing the first test, I came up with our 0.00 is a little loose. If you can see that, it doesn't quite grab. And our 0.1 is pretty tight. If you can hear that pull apart, it's tight. So I went ahead and ran a second test where I tested 0.00 all the way through 0.10 at the hundredths of a millimeter. So this first one is 0.01. And as you can see, that's still kind of loose. As we get to about 5, actually, that's still decently loose. It does grab a little bit, but not a whole lot. It doesn't have that gorilla grip, if you know what I'm talking about. Once we get down to about 7, this is a good joint for if we want to glue it, because we want it to fit in there good. We want it to have enough give that a little glue will get in these crevasses and give us that sticky icky. If you know what I mean. If you know what I mean, give me some sticky icky. Now, if you want a straight friction fit, and I mean like that true gorilla gripper, then you probably want to go more with a 0.10. As you can see, that's tight. That's tight. If that's too tight, if you can't get your joints together when they're real small, then you might want to drop it down to a 0.09. But today we are going to be using the 0.07 for 2 reasons. 1, because it's 007, right? Hoo-dee-hoo! And 2, like I said, it's just got a little bit of give, so we can get a little bit of glue in there because we're going to glue our box together today. But now that we've discovered our kerf, we're going to go upstairs and we're going to use this number to figure out how to make our boxes.
Welcome back, cupcakes. Now that we know what our kerf is, we can go ahead and start making our box. First thing we're going to do is use an online generator. These are normally for someone who isn't going to be making a lot of boxes. Maybe you just need to make a box for like a one-off or something like that, and you don't really want to learn how to create them manually. I suggest using one of these generators for the first few boxes that you make, just so you can get an idea of what they should look like in Lightburn. There's a bunch of different box generators online. I'll link these down below. You've got Maker Design Lab, you've got Maker Case, you've got boxes.py. And this is what I used to use, but lately it's been kind of non-responsive. It takes a long time for stuff to generate, but I've kind of started using Cuttle a little bit more now because you can see your box as you design it. So today we're going to be using Cuttle. Fair warning, Cuttle has a free version and a paid version. The free version allows you to make 5 projects a month. If you're going to be making more projects, then you need to upgrade to the pro version. To start with Cuttle, you're going to have to come in and create an account. I'm already signed in. You don't need to put in any credit card information or anything like that for the free version. Come to templates, scroll down to laser cut box. So just the open box with finger joints, click on that. One of the big things I like about this is you can see as you change your box. So if we want this to be 8 inches instead of 4, you'll see it change in the preview window here. Also, if you're not sure exactly what to do, there's a video tutorial right here. There's also written directions on how to assemble it. The default is inches, but we're going to switch everything to millimeters just so we can be consistent with our other box that we'll be making. Okay, so our width is going to be 200. Our depth is going to be 200, and our height is going to be 200. So we have just a square box here. Next, we're going to be using 1/4 inch material. So we're going to change this to 6.35. And then our kerf, as we've already figured out, is 0.07. Here you can turn the labels off if you don't want them to be obviously labeled. And then you can go ahead and download this from here, or you can come up and use their editor. And this is where you can customize your project a little bit better. And now I can come in here and each one of these is editable. So the front, if I hit front,
then it's just going to pull up that one piece. And let's say I don't want this here. So I'm going to take that off. Or if you want to put a hole in the middle of this for whatever reason or something like that, you can drag and drop different shapes. We can delete that. You could put text on here. You could put text on here and say box, or you could just do like an emoji, which is what we're going to do. We'll go ahead and put a smiley face on there just for funsies. Okay, but once we're done editing this, you just come up to File. You can export it as an SVG, a PDF, a PNG, or a DXF file. We are going to export it as an SVG. Now what we'll do is we'll just open up Lightburn so you guys can see what this looks like in Lightburn. That's what it's going to look like. And then you can edit this from here. So you can definitely take these and set the cut lines. And then of course, to do the smiley face, we just come in here to the fill layer. All right, cupcakes, we are back in Lightburn. So this is how to do more customizable finger joints. If you're going to be making a lot of boxes, I would suggest you learn how to do it in Lightburn. It's always easier to build something in Lightburn and then send it to your laser than build it someplace else, bring it into Lightburn. That's just one more step that could cause some sort of error or inconsistency. So this one involves some setup and understanding how Lightburn works. This is a brief overview of Louisiana Hobby Guy's video. I suggest you check out Rich's video for a more in-depth explanation on exactly how this works. I will link his video down below. Basically, you're going to come into your setup, and what you want to do is, I already have all these set. You want your visual grid spacing to be 10 millimeters. We're working in millimeters, by the way. Grid snap distance, 10. Click selection tolerance 1, object snap distance 10. Down here for control arrow, you want to switch this to 5 millimeters. And for just the arrow, you want to switch it to 10. This all sets up your work area to be divisible by 5 and working on a 10 millimeter grid. Things will snap to grid better for you. So make sure to have snap to grid selected. Once you have all that set up, now we want an equally dividable square. So let's go 200 millimeters again. Hold shift, pull that out, make sure our lock is engaged, change this to 200 millimeters. If you grab it by the center, you'll see how it snaps to the grid line. So if I pop it right here, you'll notice that if you count these squares, there is 20 squares there. So each one is 10 millimeters. I'm going to take another square. I'm going to pull it out, and then let's make this 40 by 40. For the time being. We want our tabs to be 40 millimeters wide. And I'm just making these tabs kind of huge so you can see how this works a little bit better. Normally you'd want to do something more like a 20 millimeter wide, or maybe even a 10, depending on the fingers you want. And I'm going to pull this up so you guys can see this. Okay, so our material is 6.35 millimeters thick. We double that to 12.7 millimeters. Then our kerf is 0.07. We want to double that, so that's 0.14. We add all that together and we come up with a thickness of 12.84. We're going to change our height to 12.84. So our width is going to stay the same. Our height is basically double what our thickness plus kerf is. So what we want to do is grab this and we're going to bring this over here. And as you see, it kind of snaps right on that line. And we're going to find the center. And we're just going to put it right there. So we have thickness plus kerf on one side and thickness plus kerf on the other side. That's the reason we're doubling everything. So that's the benefit of setting all of this up initially, is so these will all snap into place. So I'm going to copy, paste, bring this over here. I don't want to go right on the edge because they'll overlap. I'm going to copy, paste, go right over here. This is one side of a portion of our box. What I'm going to do is grab these, all three of them, and group them. And then I'm going to copy them, paste them, and then I'm going to bring this guy down and line those up right there. Copy, paste again. We're going to shift and turn, bring these over here, snap those there, copy, paste again. Okay, so now you get the idea. This is one side of our box. Before we do anything else, we're going to grab this, copy, and paste. Now for this one side, we're going to select this whole thing. We're going to come over here. We're going to go to weld and hit weld. Now we have our finger joints. Okay, on this other side, we want to do something else first. So these are all grouped. We want to shift, select all of these guys, and we want to group them one more time. Okay, now this is important. You want to grab the big square first, and then shift grab the little ones. And then you're going to come over here and you're going to hit subtract. So if you look at this now, let's just make this a different color so you can see it. Now that we've got both of these edited, if you bring this one over, see how this slides right in there? Kind of reminds me of your mom. And then of course, you would have to edit additional sides to the box, but you guys get the idea, right? Okay, and this ends your tutorial on how to put things in the slot.
So you can just feel free to stick things in my slot.
All right, guys, here's our little MDF box. When I put it together, the kerf was a little tight on it. I did end up using a mallet. This is friction fit. There's no glue in here. So you want to experiment with your kerf to make sure, because especially when you get these bigger joints, these deeper joints, you're going to have less play in there than when you have thinner material. Like when I cut this out of 1/2 inch material, I ended up dropping my kerf measurement down to 0.04 millimeters. All right, internet, come over here. Have a seat on my lap. Okay. Now, if you like this video, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button and click on, there's probably a video around here that you may want to check out. But at the end of the day, I want you to remember who taught you all about box.